number of infections of the Omicron variant in India has now risen to 21 after authorities in Rajasthan have confirmed that 9 new cases have been reported from the state of Rajasthan. All the 9 cases have been reported from Jaipur. Bhavar, my colleague, is joining us with more details. Bhavar, जानकारी मिल रही है कि राजस्थान में 9 मामले सामने आए हैं. ओमाइक्रॉन वेरिएंट को कंफर्म किया गया है 9 लोगों में.
जी बिल्कुल, आप ठीक कह रहे हैं कि राजस्थान में 9 लोगों को ये कंफर्म किया गया ओमाइक्रॉन का जो मामला सामने आया है. मैं आपको बता दूं कि 25 तारीख को ये लोग साउथ अफ्रीका से आए थे. 4 लोग एक फैमिली के मेंबर हैं जो व्यवसायिक हैं, जयपुर में रहते हैं और व्यवसाय है उनका साउथ अफ्रीका में. वहाँ से ये लोग यहाँ पर आए थे और अपने परिचितों से उन्होंने मुलाकात की थी. जो आदर्श नगर के जनता कॉलोनी निवासी जो लोग थे उनसे 12 लोगों से उन्होंने मुलाकात की थी, जिनमें से 5 लोग वो भी पॉजिटिव आए हैं. उसके अलावा सिटी पैलेस में एक शादी थी, वहाँ पर ये लोग मिले थे और सीकर में भी उनसे जो जुड़े लोग थे उनकी इंक्वायरी की गई थी, लेकिन उनसे सामने ये आया है कि वो लोग पॉजिटिव नहीं हैं. 34 लोगों के सैंपल हुए थे जिनमें से 25 लोग पॉजिटिव नहीं पाए गए हैं, लेकिन 9 लोग पॉजिटिव पाए गए हैं. वो लोग जो 4 लोग वहाँ से आए थे और उसके अलावा जो 5 लोग पहली दफा उनके संपर्क में आए थे. यानी कुल मिलाकर कहा जा सकता है कि उत्तरी भारत में सबसे बड़ा आंकड़ा यहाँ पर सामने आ रहा है, जहाँ पर 9 लोग पॉजिटिव पाए गए ओमाइक्रॉन के और उनको RUHS में भर्ती कराया गया है. 4 लोग पहले से भर्ती थे और 5 लोग जिनकी जांच चल रही थी और सैंपल भेजे गए थे. सैंपल क्लियर होने के बाद अब उनको एक बार फिर से RUHS भर्ती करा दिया गया है, जहां पर उनका इलाज जारी है.
जी भंवर, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका इस पूरी जानकारी के लिए. थैंक यू फॉर गेटिंग अस दोस डिटेल्स. विल कीप कमिंग बैक टू यू फॉर मोर अपडेट्स. सो राइट नाउ द ओमाइक्रॉन केसेस इन इंडिया स्टैंड्स एट 21 फ्रॉम सिंगल डिजिट टू डबल डिजिट इन जस्ट अ couple of hours. 7 new cases have been reported from Maharashtra and 9 cases of Omicron variant have now been reported from the state of Rajasthan, which takes the total tally of Omicron variant cases in India to 21. Let's open this up and go across to our guests. We have Dr. Sandeep Budiraja from the Max Healthcare joining us on the broadcast and Dr. Sushila Kataria, Director of Medanta. We also have Dr. Dilip Mavlankar joining us now, Secretary COVID Task Force, Gujarat. Good evening to all of you. I first want to come to you, Ms. Kataria. As far as these cases are concerned, like I said, from single digit to double digit in the last couple of hours, but experts like you have been saying that it was only a matter of time before these cases were detected because we still have flight services from the southern African countries, so international passengers are coming. Good thing being that they are being detected. Good thing being that contact tracing is happening and we now know of these Omicron variant cases existing within our community.
That's true that, it is 21 and it is a matter of actually testing and doing sequencing. There are many samples which are still waiting to be sequenced. So the actual number could be more. And having a person coming positive who has not traveled first in the state of Karnataka raises the questions, does it already exist in the community? So we are testing only the international travelers, but number of patients who are not internationally traveled but still could be harboring the Omicron variant. So I think the actual number is more and it is spreading at a faster pace because it has shown this in South Africa also. So far the severity data which says that it is less, but will take about 2 weeks to understand whether it is more severe or less severe.
Right. You're absolutely right, Dr. Kataria. As of now, symptoms are moderate, but we do know one thing for sure, that the transmissibility rate is high. I want to bring in Dr. Budiraja. The concern is genuine, Dr. Budiraja, because some of these people tested positive on the 25th of November or post that. So which means a couple of days back they have tested positive. Of course, the genome sequencing reports have come now. What it means is that it's highly possible that the virus may have started spreading within the community now. And the concern should now be to test more, not just international passengers and their contacts, but secondary and maybe tertiary contacts as well.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. I think the numbers would be much more. Even as clinicians, people who have been handling COVID, what we have seen in the last few days is from an absolutely lull period of almost several months. Last few days, we have started seeing more cases. A lot of queries have started coming in, telephonic consults and physical consults, and some patients are turning out COVID positive. What yet needs to be seen is whether this slight increase in the number, which most of the doctors are now seeing, is the old Delta variant, or some of it is being contributed, and increasingly so maybe, by the new Omicron strain. But, again, we need to understand that this gene sequencing is more of an epidemiological tool, especially when there is a transition or a shift of one strain to the other, and to establish how much of it is established in the community. As far as controlling the situation and handling the patients is concerned, I think the strategy remains the same, and that's test, track, isolate, treat, and vaccinate. So these golden principles will not change whether it is Delta or Omicron. And so far, the reports do indicate that it is not a severe disease, especially among those who are vaccinated. It will generally cause a mild disease. Of course, in coming 2 weeks, we'll get to understand more about this new variant.
Then, of course, the bigger concern is of those who have not been vaccinated or have only been partially vaccinated. We also have Dr. Shashankar Joshi joining us in the broadcast, part of the COVID task force of the Maharashtra government. Before I come to you, Dr. Joshi, a quick comment I want to take from Dr. Dilip Mavlankar. Amidst all this, amidst the updates that we are getting for our viewers, it's a developing situation. Like I said, it was only a matter of time before these cases were detected. Now the tally has risen to 21. There's a debate, raging debate on the third dose, on the booster. Some saying within the scientific community it is the need of the hour. Others saying no, our focus should be to first vaccinate individuals who not even received their first dose of the vaccine.
Yeah, I would subscribe to the latter view that we must finish the first and second dose for everybody before thinking of the booster. Second, I want to add that we should also do studies of immunity, not only the antibodies, but T-cell immunity. So there are lots of people who may not have antibodies now, but they have T-cell immunity there. And there are labs which we can do T-cell immunity. Unfortunately, India has not been doing it. Third is we should have data segregated of the new cases by their vaccination status. I don't know why we are not publicizing that data. Suppose we have 10,000 cases, how many had 2 doses and still got the disease? How many had 1 dose and got the disease? And how many had 0 doses and got the disease? And how many were infected in the first wave and again infected in the second wave? These 4 epidemiological parameters, I don't understand why the country is not publishing. They may be collecting, they may be analyzing, ICMR and others may have access to it, but it is not every day publicized. So I think if we know that, then we know whether the vaccine is working, how effectively it is working, and whether there is a cause to think about boosters.
Now, that's a very important point. And Dr. Joshi, first we heard the consortium of labs, I won't say recommend, but talk about how effective the third dose of the booster would be. They've, of course, done a U-turn now and said that we need to assess the situation more. We need to conduct more experiments, analyze it better. And now ICMR is suggesting the third dose for Covishield as a booster to be given. Is that suggestion, recommendation coming in for the entire population, or is that only for the immunocompressed and immunosuppressed, compromised and immunosuppressed individuals? What are your views on the debate of whether booster is the need of the hour or not?
So, couple of things we need to be clear about the word booster. It is used very loosely and sparingly. What is recommended is an additional dose, a booster, and a vaccination for the pediatric population. Now, there are 3 factors which underplay it. Number 1, current vaccines are early generation vaccines. They save lives and they save severe disease. In Maharashtra, what Dr. Malavankar was saying, we have clear data to suggest that current Delta wave, which was there in the last 4 months, was predominantly the severe disease and deaths were seen in the unvaccinated population or partially vaccinated population. In the vaccinated population, the breakthrough infections were asymptomatic or mild. So clearly the current vaccines which are there in India definitely have some protective effect, and we also have some T-cell data, but the experts are studying the same. The rationale for the additional dose from a science standpoint is people who do not mount an immune response, which means they have a moderate to severe immunocompromised state by documented diseases which are there, which will be spelled out by the NTAGI. They will be given an additional dose independent of their primary schedule. That means they have received 2 doses and they'll get an additional dose and they will not wait for 6 months. Secondly, there are 4 groups: healthcare workers, frontline workers, as well as the people who are senior citizens and people who have comorbidities. All of them probably will get after 6 months and booster dose in addition to the 2 doses, for which we need to look at the Indian data on mix and match. In India, we have had predominant Covishield followed by Covaxin, very little of the Sputnik and the Zydus vaccine. Global data on booster is only available on the mRNA platform, which is a spike protein platform. But currently we are weighted with equality. Till the last person on planet Earth is vaccinated, COVID is not over. So it is very important to be looking at vaccine equity. We have a large pool of completely unvaccinated population which should be vaccinated as early as possible, as quickly as possible, number one. Number two, the second dose which is pending should be vaccinated as early as possible, as quickly as possible. And number three, a additional dose stroke booster policy should be put in place for these 4 categories and medically recommended for moderate to severe immunocompromised states as listed by WHO and various other authorities after looking at Indian science and Indian data. So I think that directive is awaited, and I'm certain that tomorrow morning there is a meeting of experts.
Right.
They will take a considered decision balancing individual Indian science and public health considerations, and also now they will factor in the Omicron threat as well.
Okay, so the bottom line is that right now we maybe need a little bit of tweaking, but we don't need to change the vax policy at all. Our focus should be to make sure that everyone at least gets the first dose of vaccine, that we cover the entire adult population. Meanwhile, we are awaiting a vaccine to be given to our children who are individuals who are below 18 as well. That is also another area of focus. Dr. Kataria, do you agree with the point that is being made that we don't need to change the vax policy? Like the health minister said, he is waiting for the scientific community to guide the government on making this policy decision.
I agree majorly, but I think to get to do studies and get data, we do not have that kind of time now. So all the 4 categories, the frontline healthcare workers, the senior citizens, comorbidity and immune compromised patients can be lined up for extra dose, additional dose or booster dose, whatever we call it. Along the side, we vaccinate all the unvaccinated ones and take care of the children. If there is no dearth of vaccine in the country, then all these 3-4 steps can be taken side by side. If there is a scarcity of vaccines, obviously the priority should be given to those who have not been vaccinated or who have not received their second dose. But if supply is sufficient, we can go with all the prongs together, because this particular variant is going to spread soon. Maybe today we're talking about 21, maybe 10 days later we're talking about 2100. So this is going to be the magnitude.
Right. So it is just a matter of being detected and reported and registered. That's what you're saying. Dr. Budhiraja, as far as this debate on the booster or an additional dose, like Dr. Joshi is saying, this term is being used very loosely. Let me just say additional dose is concerned. And Dr. Kataria has very nicely put across the point that there is a category that should be taken into consideration. The priority should be on vaccinating this 3rd dose or an additional dose to that particular category, while the focus remains on inoculating the entire adult population. There are several states who've said, stop these services of the international flights, block the services. Can that be an effective step in blocking the virus?
No, I think at this stage, a blanket ban on international flights or sealing your airspace completely is actually no solution. Once the virus is imported into a country, it starts its own transmission cycle within the community. Obviously, it is brought in by travelers. So at this stage, I think the disease is there in most of the countries of the world. And what countries now need to do is strengthen their own testing, tracking, and isolation mechanism and have the healthcare infrastructure completely geared up. I think this time we are better prepared than what we were in the second wave during Delta. So I think that's what the focus now should be. Travel, of course, one has to be strict in implementing the COVID appropriate behavior, the RT-PCR protocols in the airport, institutional versus home quarantine, and tracking these people and the primary and secondary contacts, doing genomic sequences in subgroup of these patients to identify what is a prominent strain. I think that's what the focus presently should be. Now, in terms of vaccination, I fully agree with Dr. Kataria. India has to follow a 2-pronged strategy. We have to address the first and second doses, and also at the same time, if we do not have, and I don't think we have shortage of vaccines in our country, third, targeted dose should be given to the population like healthcare workers and at-risk population. But the bigger question is to identify why people have not yet taken their first and second dose. If it is not because of inadequate supply of vaccine, then what's the reason? If it's vaccine hesitancy, just saying that the people should come forward and take first and second dose is actually a very, very difficult task. And we just can't waste our time and keep sitting saying, let's first cover first and second dose and forget the third dose. First and second dose is definitely a priority, but let me tell you, it's a biggest challenge because people who have yet not taken, it is very, very difficult task to get them motivated.
Absolutely. Despite witnessing the damage that the virus has done during the second wave. And in fact, you're absolutely right, Dr. Buddhiraja. There were reports coming in from Kerala where 5,000 teaching and non-teaching staff have refused to take vaccine based on religious grounds or whatever reasons they are quoting. So vaccine hesitancy still very much exists. We cannot deny that. Dr. Mavlankar, the authorities are taking all the measures and guidelines are being revised. They'll, I believe, keep on revising the guidelines because, like I said, it's a developing situation. But what would you like to tell the people of this country? Because today in every household, in every drawing room, there are discussions about the efficacy, the effectiveness of the current vaccines that people have taken, about, antibodies. Some people already, discussing, asking their doctors whether they need to go for an antibody test or not.
Yeah. So I think the vaccine efficacy has been proved, even though it had declined after Delta wave came, and it might still further decline with Omicron coming. But still, it is a very clear and sure shot protection. Second is people are really laxing out, and not only in poor, but even recently I went to some meetings, people are shaking hands. Even Namaste is forgotten, let alone the mask. Ventilation, nobody knows. Even an institute of genomics, I went for something, they were in a closed, unventilated, air-conditioned room. So my sense is very basics of public health, which we have talked 1.5 years, has still not percolated or people have forgotten. We have to really re-emphasize social distancing, mask, ventilation, along with vaccination. Because vaccination is individual protection. All these three is community protection. So we have to, I think, focus on that. And also think about, I would say, even stopping flights, because it is not once virus comes in. What happened in UK in the Delta wave, multiple seeding, what they call is, the more passengers come, the more seedings will happen in the community, and then it will start transmitting. Second is, you must remember, RT-PCR is 70% correct. So if 10 patients come with positive Omicron, only 7 will be picked up, 3 will not be picked up. So the more passengers, we stopped the whole country, where 500 cases were there for 3 months. Now stopping flights from these countries, I don't know why is that the whole country has so much dependence on these flights and people coming in. Many countries, Australia, New Zealand, you can't go. For last 2 years, you can't go. So I think we have to take some steps to reduce the seeding of the new virus from our borders. Because we should, whatever has entered, we must control it very strictly.
Right, and we need to take these measures before the situation gets out of control, although as of now, there are no such indications. Dr. Joshi, we heard Novavax saying that it could start making Omicron-specific vaccine, and this is something that I wanted to understand. Is that how it works, that every time you have a new variant, that you need a variant-specific vaccine? Is that how that works?
No, but if you look at the flu vaccines, twice a year we get vaccines, one for Northern Hemisphere, one for Southern Hemisphere. And these are polyvalent vaccines. So as I said, all these are early generation vaccines. These are not sterilizing vaccines. They only save lives or severe disease. They don't prevent disease. So eventually we will need to evolve polyvalent vaccines with multiple strains. Even if you look at the booster made by Moderna, claimed by Moderna and Pfizer, they are claiming to have multiple strains in it. And therefore, they will be polyvalent vaccines. They will be sterilizing vaccines like the nasal vaccines, and such evolution will happen. This is work in progress. But I still feel that we need to behave responsibly, vaccinate totally, mask appropriately, and most importantly, if additional dose is required, it should be given if availability is not a challenge. But I agree with you that we will get in times to come, like a flu shot, maybe a shot every 6 months or every 1 year. And it will be from multiple strains. It's already happening, and flu virus is similar to COVID virus. And if you have to learn to live with COVID, and by the time COVID becomes a chronic or acute manageable disease, and the virulence comes down, we will have to adopt a policy which we are already adopting in the flu vaccine strategy.
Absolutely. Dr. Kataria, of course, the experts on panel understand the issue much better and speak confidently of how the situation is still under control and how we need to prioritize the categories that we are looking at as far as inoculating them with an additional dose or third booster is concerned. But for a common man, Dr. Kataria, when a person reads in a newspaper or on social media that developed nations that have covered most of its population, even there you have a large number of cases being reported, not that of the Omicron variant. Omicron has been reported only now in the last couple of days. There is a tendency to start panicking.
Yes, complacency comes with, usually our memories stay short-lived. So that's why the complacency comes in our behavior as well as in our acts. So as well as the developed countries, the vaccination is there, but most of these countries have not achieved 80-90% vaccination. One is that. Secondly, as we know that vaccine is there to reduce infection to some extent and reduce the severity. So people may still get infected after vaccination, but the chances of having a severe disease and death reduce greatly. So we vaccinate even with these benefits are present. So everybody should not panic, but we should try to achieve at least, we should target 100% vaccination for all eligible population, but at least 80% we should. And simple steps of COVID appropriate behavior like proper mask is the most important thing besides vaccination, I would suggest.
Dr. Budhiraja, if you could also, explain to our viewers the challenges that India faces, because we are playing out some information on how countries like Austria and UK have allowed the booster shots to be given to their population and have, along with it, also issued a rider that the priority needs to be given to individuals who are 40 plus. In terms of that, where do we stand and what are the challenges that we face in immediately not recommending this procedure?
I think before I answer that question, we must understand the population of our country. Even if we are saying that today we have vaccinated 50% of the eligible population, that number stands at about 1.27 billion. So that's no mean task. I think we must give the credit to our country, people, to the government, to the people who have researched and produced this vaccine. So I think against all sorts of difficulties and hurdles and problems, we have been able to vaccinate 50% of the population. And let me tell you, a lot of other countries in the developed world have not reached that figure. Of course, a country like Israel has reached 90% plus. But this effort needs to continue. And as I said, we need to diversify. We need to have a multi-pronged strategy and not just focus on only the first and second dose. We must also identify the critical population which needs their third dose. And obviously, in that priority order, that's absolutely the most. Secondly, we must address the vaccine hesitancy issue. We must address equitable distribution of vaccine to the entire part of the country. And then, as was said earlier, that even if there is one unvaccinated person left in the entire world, the disease, the COVID-19 is not going to go. So equitability of distribution of the world through COVAX program is something which is a much more wider discussion, but should also be looked into. So vaccine is one. COVID appropriate behavior, I think that's something we sort of tend to forget and just focus on only vaccination and the strains. But ultimately, the efficacy or the protection which is given by these masks and social distancing is far more than what any vaccine would do. So I think we must keep focusing on the basic simple things. And I think that's the only way out for us.
You are absolutely right. Every time the relaxations are announced by the government, the curbs are relaxed a bit, we tend to take the situation for granted, which is wrong. We cannot let our guard down, and I believe all the experts on our panel are on the same page that India needs to adopt a multi-pronged strategy and not just focus on the first and the second dose. What remains to be seen is what the government decides once the committee meets. Thank you very much to all the doctors on the panel. Thank you very much for putting things into perspective and answering those questions.